What's up, everyone? So in this video, we'll be looking at the Kenya basketball problem explained. And without further ado, let me just get into it. So I've talked about the state of Kenyan basketball. I made a video like a while ago, and that in that video I wasn't too much detail. But in this video, I'll be looking forward to get more details and put some points across that I've seen that they're happening. But before we get into the content of this video, make sure leave a like on this video if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notification posts so that you never miss any new videos that are coming out. And without further ado, let me just get into it. So I'm gonna start off with the federation's management. So currently, there's a written constitution that has been governing everything, which no doubt controls and regulates all happenings in the federation, basketball operations, and leadership. I'm not going to go deep into the constitution because it's very detailed, but one main thing that pops out is how games, not how many, but how games are managed with close reference to the fixtures. So the fixture secretary has been on the hot seat. The whole situation of having team managers tampering, changing the fixtures for their own gain interferes with the game schedules, matchups, league standings. At some point, some games don't happen. Walkovers tend to happen, which disrupt the integrity of the sport. And this is one thing that I saw evident, and I saw, in recent times when you have a situation where you have a lot of games that, are granted walkovers. You can see some games fail to happen. And also you can see like some teams are given like a schedule and that they are not comfortable with. Okay, I don't say that they have the ability to dictate their own schedule. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying some of the games that when they get interfered with, and one team is on the receiving end of the other side who have done what they have done in the fixtures, it reflects poorly on how things are done, especially when it comes to setting up the fixtures and also the fixtures coming in late. So especially the fixtures secretary, just like I said, is in the hot seat on how things are being run inside, and with close reference to how the games are set up. So that's one thing that pops out. So I'm not gonna get deep into the constitution because it's very clear. They have stipulated everything, but when it comes to fixtures, that's one thing that I've seen in recent times, and also it has been occurring, and I've seen it a lot. So yeah. Then we also have the court cases and scandals hampering the development of the league. This scares away potential sponsors and investments. So and investors. So the Ulinzi Lakeside court case. There's a case on this, far from being solved. I mean, there's this issue of the Ulinzi side fielding an ineligible player that brought a lot of controversy, especially in that series. Also I can say it was also a domino effect in having the players being nullified because it was early. And it was announced early this season, but the league continued as usual. So there's a blatant disregard in the legal processes, especially with reference to how basketball operations are happening, and also the regulations and the rules that need to be followed. So on one side, you're seeing the accused is saying that they didn't feel an eligible player. The other side that fielded the case is saying the person was an eligible player. So it's a lot of back and forth, and also that was on the Ulinzi Lakeside situation, but also we had the KPA and Equity situation where in the Makanda Gymnasium, they had the finals were delayed because there was a lot of back and forth, especially in the dispute resolution. There was a court case that was fielded, and the sports dispute tribunal had to step in. They had to deliver a decision, it was a very controversial decision that brushed up and brushed away the overall vibe of that whole finals, and the Equity Dumas leaving the arena in in 59 seconds left in regulation. But I'm not going to get into that because I talked about that when it happened at the time. So, but despite all these scandals, the league brushes off all these happenings, and it continues, like carries on like nothing happened. So I mean, this is something that I find is uh, an investor, even let's say for example an investor or a potential sponsor, doesn't want to put their money in where there is a lot of controversy that is piling up and they have no control over it. So this really hampers, even the development of the league. It also even hampers like the overall vibe of the league, and people are not being able to like get behind it because of all these scandals. A sponsor or an investor doesn't want their organization being tied to another organization that has pending court cases and scandals. So that's why they shy away. If these things continue carrying on, eventually it makes them go away and look for other ventures to ventures to invest in, or they just keep their money. So it's a very very bad look for, especially for the federation. There's a lack of a well defined marketing strategy to sell the games to the public. This also is coupled in with the delay of the fixtures. Digital marketing is something that has been adopted in modern times. Having a brand out there digitally will enable more people to get behind it and follow. So this is one thing that the federation lacks. So the league has zero investment in digital marketing as we speak, yet they turn back around and say the lack of sponsors and investors to support them. So how do you expect a sponsor to, or investor, a potential investor to come and put money into the league when you don't even do basic social media marketing? You don't even have active social media handles in their platforms. So how do you expect to attract people and even the investors get a return on it? So because this is a sports and entertainment business, so if you don't do that and get acclimatized with the modern times, how do you expect the sponsor to trust your brand and make it legible? So not even illegible, legit. So yeah, how do you, the federation, expect sponsors and investors to invest in the league, and you don't even market yourself? And the investors are not in the business of giving money away, so they're in the business of putting money in with the expectation of a return on investment. They need to get their money back, and if there's a profit adding on to it, it's something that they will, rethink and, do it. So the inability of the league side to use social media platforms is the main reason why they lack visibility, can't connect to the fan base, and this is the main reason why people lack knowledge of the games. Because if you don't put anything in this digital age where people are using social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all that, if you don't update, if you don't, connect with people and tell them what is really going on, a lot of times you're not going to be able to, keep or even retain a fan base. So yeah, even also when an investor sees that you have access to a wide audience, they can use you to market and advertise. So, but if that's not that, the other thing's not going to happen. So yeah. But the lack of visionary leadership to take the games to the next level, though, statistics, investment in film analysis and equipment and gear to match up with other nations is severely lacking. You can see the basketball that is being run in our nation right in Kenya is, they can say, just stuck in the 1970s and 80s. The referees, they don't even know, like, there's also like, studying film to check play calls. The league doesn't even have the ability to invest in, cameras to, do film reviews. So there's no strategy of making the game play on the court better. So that's one thing that is true. The quality of the game here played in Kenya does not match other nations in Africa. If you look at countries like South Sudan, Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, I dare say, they are miles ahead of what we are doing, and they are miles ahead. So despite Kenya having a head start, they came and just passed us, and that's why they're succeeding even in FIBA tournaments. So on the coaching side, there's a very minimalistic approach on basketball games, both offensively and defensively. You can see this is not even a fault for the federation. This is a fault on the coaching staff, even the so-called team managers who are there. They don't even know how to, make game-winning plays that even, can even elevate their game. They don't have that. So that's one thing that I've seen evident. Due to this incompetence, it has made other nations like South Sudan, just like I said, Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania pass us, be in front of us despite Kenya having a head start in basketball. and we were there. We were in the game first, so them passing us just reflects poorly on us. I mean, in-game officiating is one thing. I mean, the reffing is just horrendous. The reffing of games isn't at the FIBA level or even the BAL level. So there's lack of seriousness on the table, scorekeeping, timekeeping. You see a discrepancy in scores. There's a game that I watched, the Z-Tech versus Umoja. Z-Tech were robbed a three that made the game go to overtime, and Umoja won it. So it was a huge dent on the Z-Tech side. And the refs and the game officials are just like play on, they just finish it. So the guys who are on the receiving end were at the Z-Tech side. So I mean, even that video was posted on YouTube, on Whoopi Sports Instagram. Feel it on the table. They said it's not official. So yeah, I mean, there's lack of seriousness on the table. Missed calls during games. I mean, this is something that's been evident. You can see at travel, they don't call it. I mean, when they turn back around and make wrong calls during the game. You can see a situation where like a wrong call is made, but you can't even do anything with it. I mean, there's a lot of footage that goes out there just to dispel all this. Some games lack the use of a shot clock, which hampers the integrity of the sport. I mean, these occurrences diminish the quality and integrity of the sport, and this is why the games aren't taken that seriously. So all this are the factors that just make the game just drop the overall integrity of the game. And these happenings, these occurrences, this is the main reason as to why Kenya does not succeed outside of Kenya Basketball Federation. Kenya teams, like when you go to FIBA, it's more stringent. The players don't know the refs there, so when that situation happens, you just can't get away with the calls that you used to get away with them here. So, and that's the reason why we lead in personal fouls in a whole window of a FIBA tournament. So yeah, the federation's leadership not having the understanding and comprehension of sports as a business and how to make policies to allow that. It's not about the federation giving money. It's about them creating policies and fielding them to the relevant authorities like the Ministry of Sports who are above them, so that they can be able to make their lives easier and the lives of the people who want to invest in the sport. Because there are a lot of investors, but they shy away because the federation doesn't have a clear defined, purpose, management, and even vision of how to do that. So it's not always about the government funding the league operations as well as outside assignments, as we saw how the Ministry of Sports embarrassed the Kenya Morans this year in the third window of the FIBA World Cup. There was also money set aside for the Commonwealth Games, but there was no money set aside from the FIBA World Cup qualifiers, which the Kenya Morans had a walkover against Congo DR. Then they went ahead to lose to Egypt and Senegal. What a puzzle. They had money for the Commonwealth Games, but they didn't have money for the FIBA World Cup. I don't know how that works. And also the Kenya Lioness team in 2019, in the FIBA Afrobasket Women. This was a national level. When they cited lack of funds, the federation, slighted them, and it was just a hard thing to, follow. But having leaders who are visionary and know the policies that will entice investors will enable the inflow of investment into the league, not necessarily depending on the state to provide. You don't have to keep on depending on the government to provide, because as you can see in recent times, especially this July, you could see the Ministry of Sports told the federation they are on their own, they have to fund their operations, which is very, very bad, and could have made them even not being able to even get there. And they also, even if they got there, they missed one game, it was granted a walkover. So this will also, like the sports and investment, this will enable the rise of the CBA, collective bargaining agreement, that will enable the Players Association, if there's any, and the league decide on how much money how to use the money that they generate from marketing, ticket sales, and TV deals. So even for CBA for short, like when we have a lot of investors and we make sports a business, we'll be able to decide on how to use the money that the league makes from TV deals, because of course when you have like huge investment and the games are marketed in such a way that they'll spark a demand for it, you'll get TV deals, increase ticket sales, marketing, billboards. So all that, and the money that is generated there will force the emergence of a CBA, collective bargaining agreement that will enable the league and the players decide on how to use the money that they make. And also, it creates employment opportunities for other institutions like insurance companies, marketing companies, to come in and use the networks that we have made in there. And looking at further, even at the player level, you can see even they're going to get money and they're going to get paid and compensated for their services on the court, because people have come to watch them for basketball and entertainment. Also, even oncoming artists can come in and get a slot there to showcase their talent. So if all these things happen and you get like investors coming in, marketing, TV deals, ticket sales are on the rise, brought about by the investment by the investors, it will spark the development of the sport, and even other bigger venues will be used. Let's say, for example, games sell out at Nyayo Stadium, then you go to Kasarani Stadium. If they sell out, you have to look for another venue to host that. So we're going to have a situation where sports is a business, not just sports. That will all happen if the Kenya Basketball Federation creates policies that will entice and be able to create an environment where investors can come in, and also the KBF, avoiding scandals that will chase them away. So the whole goal in making sports a business, that benefits not only the league but also the players as well. So on to my next point. I mentioned the Players Association, but there's a lack of Players Association or union to hold the federation and league executives accountable. I feel like there's disunity, there's lack of knowledge, there's disunity among the players and teams. There's lack of knowledge on how the players in the league should interact with each other. Some teams opt to bypass and dictate what they want. So the money teams, we all know them. The players should understand that there is a reason why the whole federation exists, and they should know that the whole federation exists with the presence of the players. So without the players, there's no team manager, there's no coach, there's no games. And that means if there's no game, there's no refs. And without this, the federation doesn't exist. In short, the lack of players in the league invalidates whatever authority that the federation has, as they are nothing without the players. So their players have to know that they hold all the cards and they are the people that make the federation relevant. Without the players, there's nothing. You can see the players create a team. Team creates a team manager and a coach. The teams create the game. If the game isn't there, there's no refs. So you can see, even without all those basketball operations, the federation is null and void. So this is something that they have to understand, and I believe a players' union is in order. This is something that should be there. And also there's a lack of development of talent at an early age. This brings about players who are not fundamentally sound. There's a lot of talent acquisition, but there's little to no talent development. There's little to no improvement. You can see players who have played in the league for so many years, 6 to 7, even 8, 10 years, but there's little to no improvement. They're the same player as they was 10 years down the line, 10 years back. So you can see there's little to no talent development. They only focus on, they only have a minimalistic approach when it comes to developing themselves. They think that basketball is just cardio. Basketball is about skill, and you have to improve your skill and upscale. So that's one thing that is evident. There's a lack of policies from the federation to the Ministry of Sports to facilitate the access and construction of basketball courts. So there's a scarcity of basketball courts. So the federation should use their position and leadership and push for change in how basketball is conducted in the country, since they're a regulatory body. So this is vital for the improvement and progress, because if the federation has the ability to or to create policies and fill them to the Ministry of Sports, so they can tell them to create a policy where players and athletes, as long as they play for the federation, have the card, they can walk into any institution and use their facilities to play basketball, regardless of whether they're public or private. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but if they're going to enable the players to be able to upskill or even add on skill and the talent, some things just have to happen. Also, the federation also pushing for policies even in the national government. They can also come in and say that there should be at least a court per constituency, something like that. So that's something that the federation has the power to do, because there's a regulatory body, as I keep saying. So sadly, there are new players today that only know this current iteration of this federation. And with all these challenges hampering the growth of the sport, I mean, hopefully things can change for the better for the future. With the rise of organizations such as Whoopi Sport, who offer a platform for athletes to showcase their talent to the world, things will only get better. So the fact of the matter is, the federation needs to step up and improve how they go about managing basketball in Kenya and being a competent regulatory body. Because that's one thing that they have lagged in. So that's all I have to say about this video. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for more content, and peace out.